Hello Internet, I am Raptor7717 here to bring you a review of this Camali 1968 fountain pen. This pen comes from China. It's relatively cheap in price, not particularly in construction. You'll see what I have to say about the nib and filling system. Could be considered cheap maybe. It comes in this illustrious packaging. It's a little plastic sleeve that says Camali and has Chinese characters on it and has a picture of a camel. Get that out of the way. Okay, so we're going to take a look at the pen real quick. On the top there is nothing, it's just black. Got this nice band that holds the clip on. If it focuses. Why is it not focusing? Focus. There we go. Okay. The clip is just a single bar. There's no spring or anything up here. I forget what type of clip that's called. Anyway, it's just simple. It fits in your shirt pocket, although it is really tight, and so it is kind of hard to get in a pocket or something, but it does work. We got a band down here. There's a camel with some designs, and it says Camali 1968 right there. It says that on the other side as well, so it says that twice. And this band is actually on the cap. The center band that is actually on the pen. Then you have this nice, they call it Rosewood. It's obviously just red dye of some kind. It's not, doesn't look anything like rosewood. It looks kind of like wood that has been dyed red, but it is a metal pen, so it is definitely not wood. You get down to the bottom here. Your camera doesn't focus. Okay, you got this little diamond pattern, which looks nice, and then you have a black cap at the end. You uncap the pen. You get this nice tapered silver section with this little gold lip here. Of course, it's not actually silver or gold, but it holds nicely, and you won't slip down beyond that. I mean, you could. It's more than, say, a flare. It's just got this ring. It's not a flare out, which would support your finger better, but it's just fine in the finger. As you can see, it is a alright size pen, so it not uncomfortable to not post it. When you post it, it gets unbalanced, very unbalanced, because again, it's all metal. But it does click into place, and you don't want to force it past that because it has a plastic cap on the inside that you could crack. The nib is a medium on this particular pen, although there is no indication on the nib. There is just a picture of a camel and some decoration. Can you see that camel? No, because it's not focusing. Well, trust me, there's a camel there, and it's a medium nib. There's nothing particularly special about it. It's got no words or anything. When you unscrew the barrel, it takes longer than I thought, you find that this pen comes with a converter. It's a Chinese converter that has some Chinese warnings written on it that I cannot read because I do not speak Chinese or read Chinese. If you can see in there, there is a spring agitator, which doesn't work too terribly well. I mean, it does its job, but as you can see, it didn't work exactly as it should. There's a little bit of ink still in here, obviously. So you might want to replace that with something more massive if you can get this converter open, which I have been unable to do. So if you can do that without breaking it, you might want to replace the agitator with maybe a ball or a heavier spring or something. But if not, it does its job okay. It does, if you store it nib up, or if you don't write with it for a period of about, let's say 18 hours, it does need to be started up again. So the nib does dry up, especially if you do it like this. It doesn't really dry. The ink just drains back into the converter, and so it needs to be started up like it's a new pen that you're putting a cartridge in or whatever. So you can squeeze some ink from the converter into the feed, or you can just tap it on the page and scribble with it and wave it around for a little bit. Don't wave it around too extreme because you'll spray ink everywhere if there's still ink in the pen. And hope that eventually you get it writing again. If there's ink in it, it should write again though. So now I'm going to swap camera angles and we're going to see some writing. See you there. Okay, it's time to write with this Camali 1968 pen. I don't post it because, like I said, it is a bit heavy when posted. So let's see if I can get a good angle here. Camali 1968. The ink is Waterman Black. I forget what they call it these days, but it's Waterman Black. The paper is cheap. It's dollar store paper, but it bleeds through kind of, but it's pretty bleed resistant. It shows through incredibly, so don't use it if you don't like show through. And but it doesn't feather. At least with this, most of the inks I've used, I don't use particularly broad nibs either. So this is a medium nib, like I said. And so let's start with some writing. That looked awful. Why is the quick brown fox jumping over? Again, my Z looks like a Y. Let's see if I can make a good Z. There we go. Lazy dog! Exclamation point. Because reasons. So let's try that a little bit faster. You're not meant to read this at all. Yeah, whatever. Over. I had to skip there because I held the pen wrong. So it keeps up. I'm not going to write the entire sentence, but it does keep up. You can... If you don't hold the pen wrong, it keeps up. Anyway, it kind of has a few skips once you been writing with it for a while. But in general, the feed keeps up. Like I say, though, it does dry out after a while. So if you leave it for, say, 10 hours, and then you come back and pick it up and start writing real fast with it, it will run out. You need to give it some time. Go slow with it for a little while, just to make sure that it is, in fact, writing before you go on and start trying to take quick notes or something with it. It has, as far as I can tell, let's see here, virtually no line variation. The nib is not flexible at all, even though it looks kind of golden. It is most definitely not. It's probably just plated with some sort of, what do you call that? Brass. Yes, probably plated with brass. But it's very hard and very, very steel-like, so you're not going to get any sort of line variation out of this to speak of. I mean, every pen has a degree of line variation, but you're not going to get much out of this one. So the nib does alternate between being wet and dry. It doesn't have much line variation. It does keep up the feed. You can see there. I didn't mention this earlier, but it's just a standard feed. Just kind of lies under the nib there. It does, it might when you get the pen in at first, because it's shipped just kind of in a sleeve, which is to say that it probably isn't handled the best at the factory. It might need a little bit of adjusting in the nib. It might flow pretty dry. You might need to press down on it a little bit. Actually, don't just press down on it. Don't take my word for that. Look up a video on how to make a nib wetter. And follow those instructions. I'm very bad at giving those instructions, so don't just listen to what I have to say. Well, listen to what I have to say, but don't follow it to the letter, because I'm bad at making instructions to the letter. Anyway, yeah, just going to write, scribble. It's not particularly special or anything, but it is a cheap pen. It's about, I think $10, yeah, about $10, maybe a little bit less, coming from China, so that's through eBay. and you know, it's a nice pen, and I would certainly buy it again. It is nice. Anyway, thank you for watching as I try and put the pen on the wrong way and I stole someone else's shtick. Bye.